what is it that got you interested in working with children, and what's the history there, so to speak?
So I always loved working with kids. I have wanted kids since I was a kid. And as I said in my book, as I said in many other places, I've always worked with kids, whether it was kids in my family, kids in the neighborhood, kids that were just around my friends' kids, whatever. I was working with kids. And so what turned me into the place where I was as a registered behavioral technician, which is that's the term.
Okay.
I was actually homeless at the time and I needed a job. And a friend of mine was working as a behavior assistant, which is a level lower than the position I got hired for. And I had this real sense of urgency. It was right after I finished my first year of teaching at a private school. They let me go from that. And I was a camp counselor. So around that time, I had applied to go to be an RBT. They told me I had to do this 40-hour course. I did that, I passed it, passed the competency evaluation. I passed. I sat down for the board certification, passed that first time. And then I got into the actual career with the children who are neurodivergent, usually with autism. And it changed my entire life. And I also spoke with my theater professor when I was in college at the time. And when she saw me teaching, I brought a whole bunch of the kids to go see a play that she had directed. And she was just looking at me off at the side and she was like, Gabe, I'm so proud of you. It's like, what do you mean? She was like, I've always seen you as a teacher. You're really great at education. You should really do that. You're getting older in age now. You need a career. Just go for education. I did. And it's honestly been the best decision because before I was going to school for biomedical sciences. But then I changed it to exceptional student education. So that's kind of how I got into it.
That's wild. So I've not heard this as a part of your brother. You went from homeless to child education, and it sounds like for you that was really transformative in your life. And I just want to know more about that story. Like how is it that you? Because for most people, you know, I don't think most people can imagine a shift that big, or was it a shift that big? Was it something that felt normal to you? What was that like?
It felt right. Like it matched. Everything made sense. When I got my first client, he was a nonverbal child with autism. And although I hadn't seen a lot of the behaviors like headbanging, other self-injurious behaviors, as soon as he saw me and I saw him and I started to actually pair with him, I started to see how his mind worked. And it took nothing for us to communicate on his level. And it just made sense. And so I did that for a number of years. And it works. I was like, every person who's worked with me has always raved about how good I am with their child, to the point where I got another job as an RBT and I was hired on the spot. The person had never met me before, did not know, only knew about me from what other RBTs and behavior analysts said. They're like, oh, this is Gabe. So when I applied, they were like, I know you, you're Gabe. I'm going to hire you just off of what I've heard about you alone. And so it was a natural, it was like I fell into my raison d'etre, like my whole reason to be. Like that was this.